Hey guys, welcome to a movie spotlight review of the film Compliance on Blu-ray. Now, I saw this movie last night, and I have to say that it's a great film that depicts the real dangers of falling victim to prank callers. Now, it did this so well that it pretty much infuriated me so much on how the characters were being suckered into doing whatever it was, well, not whatever, but all the things that the prank caller was actually asking, these people to do. Um, Now, to just give you a bit of a backstory onto the film itself, I believe the movie takes place somewhere in Oregon, and it's about the manager, played by Ann Dowd, who receives a phone call from a guy claiming to be a police officer, and the police officer tells her that one of her employees is being accused of stealing money from a customer, and the employee in question happens to be the young girl that's on the cover, who is played by the actress. I believe you pronounce her name Driama Walker. She plays the character Becky, who is the employee, and the police caller, like I said before, calls up the restaurant and talks to the manager and tells her about, she believes that Becky is involved in stealing money from a customer, and starts instructing the manager on how to proceed with apprehending and questioning Becky on the whereabouts of the money. So what happens is that he brings her into the back, and the guy on the phone starts telling the manager how to go about questioning her, looking through her clothes, looking through her personal items to find the money. There's nothing there. And in the meantime, the Becky keeps telling everybody that she didn't steal anything, that this has to be a mistake, things like that. And the cop keeps insisting on the manager to continue to search further into her belongings, so much so that basically starts telling the manager, tell her to basically start taking all your clothes off so we can inspect your clothing and things like that. And it pretty much just escalates from here, because then the manager starts asking other employees to come in and look after her, and the cop starts talking to them and trying to convince them to continue to have her remove more articles of clothing, so that he can continue to do this ridiculous, search and seizure to look for this money. And like I said, it pretty much just escalates from here, all the way through until pretty much everything gets discovered at the end. And like I said before, it's a great film. It really depicts a very strong message, against, like I said before, the dangers of falling victim to prank callers. And the thing that just infuriated me so much about this film was the fact that the people that were actually involved in the events, because this movie is partly based on true events. Some of this stuff did happen. So the thing again that infuriated me so much is that that the people that were actually involved were so stupid and naive to believe everything that was being told to them over the phone, of all things. It's not like it was even done face to face in person. This was done over the phone. A guy called up the place claiming to be a police officer and is telling them that basically this has happened and this is how we're going to proceed to take care of this. And nobody in the restaurant who was basically answering to this phony cop ever once questioned, why they were doing this. Why are you asking me to do this? Again, I understand that there is a procedure, that there's standard protocol that has to be followed from both ends, again, from the restaurant chain as well as police. But, when things begin to sound fishy, or wrong or out of place, you'd think that common sense would kick in and you start questioning why you're being asked to do this. Especially to a fellow employee, another human being, another person, and it was those things, because as it kept going and everybody was just complying to the demands that this guy was asking them to do, I just kept getting so angry that people just went ahead and said, okay, I'll do that. I'm gonna force, the girl to just take off all her clothes, basically, and I'm gonna search her everywhere and things like that. You know, it just got to a point that I felt really uncomfortable for the character. It was, that somebody out there unfortunately fell victim to something like this, and I felt really uncomfortable with that. And that just made me, even more angry for the fact that no one actually kind of stood up for her at all, except maybe for like two of the characters, that kind of did stand up for her anyway, but some of the other ones that didn't, unfortunately, because they were just so dumb, you know, that they didn't think twice about, believing the employee over someone who, first of all, didn't provide any ID. It's over the phone, right? How can you trust that? It's like I felt right in between with this film, and I know that the intent of the movie was basically to grab you in such a way and force you to be so angry with what was going on, but at the same time, the film was also trying to point out the deeper message again of, it's unfortunate that there are people out there that have fallen victims to, criminals like this, that claim to be someone of authority, and just because they may seem like they may have something on you, that they coerce you into believing everything that they have to say and complying with all their demands and things like that, so it's unfortunate, and I know that it's an actual thing, that happened to people, but it's just the fact that, when you watch the movie and you hear some of the demands that this cop is asking, this fake cop is asking, these people to do, it's like, people, man, you could have thought this through. It's like, this sounds so wrong. Why are you forcing this girl to do this stuff? So again, I like the movie basically because it presented a very strong message against, you know, uh, situations like this. But at the same time, it was, again, I just felt infuriated for the fact that, no one thought twice to question what they were being asked to do. You know, and the further along that it went, the more extreme that it got, and so much more that I felt, bad for the character, that was victim to this, as well as the actual person, you know. But the fact that, no one did anything, to dispute otherwise, um, and it's really bad because, I mean, it got to a point that the girl was basically violated, and I know that on the greater picture that was the intent of the film, was to show this, and I liked it for that. So, but at the same time, again, it's just that the things that were happening is what made me so angry with it. So, I'm like divided. I like it, but I don't like it because, things like this were happening, and people just were too dumb to think otherwise. Um, but of course, that doesn't mean that I dislike the film and I wouldn't recommend it to others. I definitely recommend, people to watch Compliance because, it's a very real situation that happens out there, and the way the film was shot, it just captures all these instances where, you see the reactions of all the characters involved and just how they were trying to deal with certain things, and how they went along, and just how they further just collapsed into being a violated victim here. So I definitely recommend this film, for anyone who hasn't seen it or may have just kind of remotely heard about it, to definitely check out Compliance. It's a really good film, um, and that's pretty much it. So, I guess every once in a while I'll pull a video or a movie aside, that I felt I needed to kind of like talk a little bit more about because it had an interesting point, or it just, has such a a good depiction of a real event that it infuriated me so much that, I felt that I needed to kind of like talk a little bit more about it. So um, that's pretty much it. So definitely, be on the lookout when I do more of these short little videos, spotlight reviews, and definitely, be on the lookout for my next movie collections update video, which is going to come up, very soon. And keep on top of my channel. Subscribe to my channel, like the video if you like, what I said about this film. Follow me on Twitter If you haven't done so already, you can find the links definitely in the description. And that's pretty much it, guys. Alright, so until the next time, peace out.